Well, I think I will get started. If you're all ready. And so welcome to Writing for Marketing. I am Jill McAllister. I own Tansha Marketing Agency. And this is part of the Chamber's marketing series. Amy, did you actually want to just mention to people what the other ones are that are coming up?
Yeah, I would love to. In 1 second, I just gotta
look sorry. I thought maybe you had it in front of you already.
Okay, here it goes. So after this one, we have Headshots and Bios. That's on June 24th. We have Web Optimization on July 8th. We have Google My Business on July 22nd. We have LinkedIn on August 5th. And then we have Email Marketing on August 19th. And that'll be the last one to wrap it all up.
Great, thank you. And can I just either in the chat, is chat enabled, Amy?
Yep.
So if I could either have you just raise your hand if you're on the screen or put something in chat. I'm just curious if anyone brought any samples of writing that they'd like critiqued, or they're trying to write you're trying to write something, you can't figure out the right way to craft it. So I just want to see if we have any of those to work with today. And if not, that's fine. Or maybe you'll think of something as we go through this session. So, Amy, if you can just let me know if anyone chats about it. If anyone mentions they have some writing to do.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you know.
All right, thanks. And you're able to see my screen, Writing for Marketing?
Yep, it's starting to share.
Wonderful, okay. And as I mentioned, I am Jill McAllister, and I own Tansha Marketing Agency, and I also give myself the title of Brand and Marketing Manager. Many times I work for businesses that maybe they don't have a marketing department, or the person in charge of marketing wears many hats, and so I am many times hired to help either establish the branding, establish the marketing plans, execute them, do projects, and just in general keep their brand organized and their marketing organized.
Jill, I can't see. Do you have a slide up? I can't see anything.
Really?
It just says Jill McAllister has started screen sharing, but I don't see it.
But it's not finishing sharing yet.
Oh, it says it's paused. I didn't pause it, I don't think. Now you see it, right?
There you go.
There we go.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
And Karan's in here too, okay. All right, so this is Writing for Marketing, and that is me. And our agenda, we're going to start by talking about poetry. We are going to have a slight grammar break, and we're going to get into things called core messaging documents, your key messages, which will be a little more interactive, and then the placement of your messaging and how these things really affect your writing depending on what you're trying to accomplish within your own marketing. So the reason I have poetry up first is because, believe it or not, writing for marketing is very similar to writing poetry. And so I'm just curious, again, in the chat or raise your hand, who writes poetry here? Is anyone a poet? I'm not seeing any answers. Are you, Amy?
I don't think we have poets.
No poets, huh? Okay. I got 3 chats here.
Karan writes songs.
Karan writes songs, lovely. And Clint Eastwood isn't writing either. Sorry, Chris. Not since that girl dumped me in high school. So the reason poetry is very similar to marketing, writing for your marketing is because if you like to write poetry, or if you hate it, you may also have this same reason for hating it, is that poetry, the art of poetry is expressing what you want to express in as few words as possible, with each word having a significant impact. So there's never any, I shouldn't say never, but in many types of poetry, there aren't extra words that just add fluff. There aren't words that don't really, less is more I believe when it comes to poetry. So the same thing happens with marketing. People aren't interested in a lot of fluff and extra words. Most of the time with marketing, they're just quickly skimming over, and if it doesn't jump out at them and bite them in the nose in 3 seconds, then you've probably lost them. So with marketing, you're looking at your word choice. You're making sure that what you're trying to say is clear and in as few words as possible so that you don't lose attention. And so that's why I was comparing writing for marketing to poetry. So what does poetry have to do with it? And I don't mean that your marketing has to rhyme. Poems don't have to rhyme, but the succinctness and the uniqueness of your words, you don't want to be using cliches. So all of those rules kind of apply in poetry as well. I did want to give you 2 resources when you're doing your writing. Sure, Microsoft Word gives you spell check and some grammar and some thesaurus, but Grammarly.com is an excellent resource if you want to improve your writing. It has workshops, it has exercises, and if nothing else, you can find out if the way you're wording something is correct. The other thing you can do is you can just type in the Google search bar, effect versus effect, EFF-ECT versus AFF-ECT. People get those 2 mixed up a lot. I still every now and then double check, am I using the right word for what I'm trying to say? And Grammarly or many other helps will pop up to help explain that to you. The reason I'm going to start talking about grammar a little bit is because what you write in any place you write it is a reflection of you. And you may be a very professional person in person. You might be well educated, and that may be what you want to make sure is known about you. And if someone is reading something and that's all they have so far about you, some strong impressions can be made if the grammar is sloppy or there's run-on sentences which are hard to follow. If you're not getting your point across and doing it in a professional manner, then that's affecting your branding, your image. This workshop is a little bit taking the next step from the branding that they spoke about last time. So I advocate for being as grammatically correct as possible, but there is poetic license with writing as well, and we'll get into that. I'll actually give you the example right now. So there's a husband and wife business, and the wife was a teacher. And so whenever I do writing for them, she corrects it and turns it into a nice, correct sentence with the right punctuation and everything. The husband says, nobody reads. I just want pictures in my marketing. So I have to find the happy medium between sentences that are complete but too long and no writing at all. And that really is what you should be doing with all marketing. Full sentences, unless you're writing a blog or an article or a press release. A lot of other marketing pieces like brochures and certainly social media, you need to figure out how to abbreviate so that you're making your message is understood and not lost in long sentences, whether they're run on or not. So, so that's a little bit of what we're going to be talking about here. So we will start with a little bit of a grammar break. And this is just one of many, many, many things we could talk about, but I do want to do a review of personal pronouns because I feel that it's possible English speakers in the United States may have come to a point of no return when it comes to personal pronouns. So the background that I'm going to give you is that I don't know if anyone ever watched Leave It to Beaver, but the Beav, in order for the television writers back then to emphasize that he's just a young kid, kindergartner, first grade, he would say, me and Wally are going to go down the street. Me and Wally are going to go to the store. Me and Wally are going to go play ball. Me and Wally. And it was, in the late 50s, early 60s, it was so blatantly wrong that it drove home the point that he's just a little kid. His grammar will improve when he gets older. Now, when you watch a lot of different television, you have your own conversations. It could be with a doctor, it could be with a lawyer, it could be watching celebrities on television. The rules of correct pronoun usage, personal pronoun usage, are just, they're disappearing. And so I'm on a little bit of a kick to try to see if we can save it before it becomes common usage. One thing about language is that the more you hear something a certain way, the more you adapt it as that's the rule. And I believe that's what's happening when people say, me and Wally are going to go to the store, and that doesn't sound like a kindergarten kid who doesn't know how to speak. It sounds normal. And it could be that the rules are changing and we're evolving, and that will become the permanent rule. So quickly, I'm going to go through personal pronouns. So these are the subjective pronouns, which is I, you, he, she, it. Those are the singulars. And the plural of I is we, you, and they. Subject is the subject of the sentence. So I am the one doing something, or we are the ones that are going to do something. They are the subject. They are the lead, usually. I am throwing the ball. We are going to the game. Personal pronouns that are objective are, they follow the same pattern. Your singulars are on the left column, plurals are on the right, and instead of I, it's me. So something's going to be done to me. Me is not doing me is not the subject. I is the subject. So I'm going to do this to me. So for the objective pronouns, you have me, you, which looks just the same as the subject. So you should always be easy. Me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. So she invited me to the beach. She is the subject, and she's doing something to me. And what she's doing to me is she's inviting me. It wouldn't be she invited I, and it wouldn't be her invited me or her invited I. It's she invited me to the beach. We are bringing them to the beach. And then you have reflexive pronouns. Myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, etc. Reflexive means that you are looking back. It's like a referral. So the word myself, I myself would like to go. Fix this angle here. They think highly of themselves. They think highly of themselves. If you used any other word other than themselves, you might not know who we're talking about. Or you could also say they themselves think highly of themselves. and I'm showing you this now. I'll show you the example of how the reflexive pronouns are starting to be used incorrectly. I'll show that in a second. And then you have the possessive pronouns. So again, the first column is singular, the second column is plural, follows right in line with I. You've got my and mine, your, yours, his, her, hers, and its, and ours, yours, and theirs. So you possess something. That is my business. That business is mine. So now we're going to get into what's becoming more commonly heard and how we might have little tricks to remind us how it should be. So me and Barbara always have fun. I'm really curious how many people think that sounds perfectly fine, or they even would say that themselves at times. You don't have to admit it, but we all do it. So me and Barbara always have fun. So the first thing we're looking at is which pronoun comes first, me or Barbara? And the way I remember this is that if you and another person are approaching a door and you're there just, you know, maybe you're the hostess, you open the door for the other person, you let them go in first. So when you are referring to yourself and someone else in a sentence, you always want the other person to go first. It's just polite. So if we were to correct this, it would be Barbara and me always have fun. Put the other person first. Okay, so now I've corrected the order of the pronouns, of the pronoun and the proper noun, and I've got me and Barbara and me always have fun. Now, is that correct? So the second little clue is drop the other person. If you're not sure which pronoun it is, drop the other person. So now I've got me always has fun. That should sound wrong to everybody. It's I always have fun. So Barbara and me always have fun, or Barbara and I always have fun. I is the correct one. So a lot of people, they know that it's a trick to figure out, is it I or me? And they've started to say myself. Barbara and myself always have fun. And I call that a cop-out because they're trying to not have to make the decision between I and me. So it's a little bit of mental figuring when you're talking, because it's no longer, for many people, it's no longer what sounds right. We have to almost retrain ourselves. And I would suggest I do this myself. I'm in a conversation with my kids or my husband or anybody. If I hear myself say something incorrectly, or I'm not sure, I'll actually pause, think about it, and I will correct myself out loud in front of them. You might not do it in a formal meeting, but the more you can correct yourselves and say it correctly, then the more you may get back in line with how things should sound, and it will be easier. Okay, so here's a quiz. Jerry is going with myself and Lois. Can you see my screen still? Yep, okay. Jerry is going with myself and Lois. Jerry is going with Lois and I. Jerry is going with me and Lois. Jerry is going with Lois and me. Are any of those correct? And if so, which one? Or maybe there's more than one that's correct. This is a quiz. Let's see. Lois and me.
Jerry's going with Lois and me.
That's correct. Jerry's going with Lois and me. Because with, which is a preposition, creates an object. It is an object. So Lois and me are not doing the going, Jerry is. Jerry's the subject. He is going with us. He's not going with we. He's not going with I. Jerry and Lois is going with I. No, Jerry and Lois is going with me. So again, drop the other person to see what it sounds like, or use your logic that you know when you know what the rule is, and put the other person first. So Jerry is going with Lois and me. Okay, that's it. I could do this forever, but we'll get beyond. Oh, I've got more. Okay, this is one more I heard on The Bachelorette, which, you know, these are supposed to be young, professional, beautiful people, and I've heard both of these. Mize and his family are now friends. His and mine's family are now friends. So I'm not going to spend time on this, other than those are not words. Okay. I want to talk about a core messaging document. This is now getting into your branding, and we're going to go a little deeper than they may have discussed last session. A core messaging document is something that you put together that explains who you are, who your business is, either whether you're a professional and it's all about yourself, or whether it's about your business. So there's a few things that go into this, and I think that this is probably a repeat or very similar to what Liliana and John went through in the branding session. But you really need to know yourself and your business. So you need to know what your unique value proposition is. What are the key benefits that you provide to your customers? Who are your customers? What are their pains, and how are you solving their problems? And what is your competitive positioning? So these things actually would already exist before you created your core messaging document, because these are things that should have been figured out in your business plan and then in your branding. Although your key messaging document can be part of your branding exercise, but the core messaging document, these are things you really need to understand about yourself or your business or your product, whatever it is you're trying to market. From knowing your core messaging, then you come up with your key messages. And I actually, let me see if I have another thing I wanted to share. I gotta do a new share. Okay, now do you see ASAP brand messaging architecture? Is that what's on the screen? Okay, good. Thank you. So I've stolen this off the internet, and I'm going to give Leslie Sutherland before the brand credit for this great chart. She did it better than I can, so we're using her and giving her kudos. And so brand messaging architecture involves several things. Your vision statement, your mission statement, your positioning statement. And these, again, come out of really understanding yourself and your business and your product. And a vision statement and a mission statement, you can see they're very succinct. It is poetry. The mission, we are the leading global professional association. So that's who they are. And they're dedicated to alliance formation and practice. That's succinct. It's not cliche. It's descriptive. And I don't see any extra words in there that I would want to get rid of. Leading and global, they really don't mean the same thing. So I would keep both of those. We provide a forum to exchange alliance best practices, resources, and opportunities, and offer products that enable members to harness alliances as growth engines to drive corporate performance. So it sounds wordy, but it is a complete mission. And if this company follows what other businesses do with their mission statement, this is behind everything they do. And they measure their progress, they measure their developments against their mission statement. And then positioning statement has a lot to do with, you know, where are you in the industry? So it's another factor of who you are. So here's some key messages. So someone went through the vision statement, the mission statement, the positioning statement, and came up with specific messages. And it's these messages that you then can build a marketing plan around. So they provide networking, they provide programs, they provide education, and then there's sub bullets under each of those that detail it a little more. This is the key to them now building their marketing plan. And based on their business, they may at different times feel that certain things are more important to promote than others. That all comes down to their business plan and that kind of decision making. So so I just wanted to give you the idea of what a key message is. And I actually was wondering if we might do a little interactive work here. I'm going to ask everyone to see if they can, within 30 seconds, come up with 2 or 3 key messages about your business and put them in the chat box, please. And then I will also know who's still with me.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I'm understanding your question, that the little 5-minute homework assignment, that you want us to put in key messages about our company into the chat
Yep,
that
put into
describes our
chat.
company?
Yep,
Okay.
just 2 or 3, not your overarching vision or mission statement, but what are some key messages? Yep, that whenever you're talking about your business, you try to make sure you're including it. I can't see chat. Where is it? Oh, here it is. And this is not your tagline. Okay, good. Jamie's got ROI-based marketing solutions. That's something that is Jamie's, one of his key messages that he likes to make sure he has in his marketing in terms of what his company does. Think about what you provide. So the chamber supporting members and the local business community. Excellent. And that could even be 2 separate key messages. We provide support to our members, but we also impact the entire local business community. Opportunities to individuals with disabilities, great. To inspire thought and spark dialogue about societal issues. That's great. And you can hear how all of these could possibly be part of a vision statement or a mission statement, but they're fine-tuned, and we could probably even get more detailed. But this is where you might create a social campaign to use one of these key messages in several different ways, whether it's through imagery, provide opportunities to individuals with disabilities. You can picture a whole bunch of images that would portray that key message with a few words that might drive it home. And there's a bunch of different ways you could market that message or include that message in your marketing without saying those exact words over and over again. So that's good. Let me go back to here. Are you now seeing key messages on your screen?
No,
No.
it's still the
It's the same
brand
slide.
messaging. Yeah.
Okay, let me fix that. Okay.
Here we go.
So these are some things that that you will use your key messages in to write. So I wanted to explain what a boilerplate is. A boilerplate is a description of your business, again, as succinctly as possible, Usually it's used at the bottom of a press release. And so what I do with my clients many times is the first thing we do as part of the branding is let's create your boilerplate. And I'm going to show you two that we did for one of my customers, Real Estate Advisory Group. We have a long version and a short version. Short version is usually all you're going to include on a press release because your press release content is a little more important than your boilerplate. Your boilerplate is to let the editor or the journalist understand what you do, maybe come back and get more information if they need it. But your boilerplate, it can be used in many, many places. And so if we look at the short version here, you can read it. Real Estate Advisory Group, NE, is a commercial real estate brokerage, investment, consulting, and management company located in South Windsor, Connecticut. That sentence alone pretty much says what they do, where they are. The rest of it embellishes a little more. Founded in 2011, the firm buys, sells, and leases commercial, retail, and industrial buildings, and currently manages over 500,000 square feet. So you can go through the whole thing. If your business is looking for expert guidance, please call, and then there's contact information. It's nice and succinct. I'll tell you, we spent hours over a period of weeks getting this to where it is. If you have more than one owner or a team and you want other people's opinions, you start out with something very long and you work on it until you have very succinct wording that can be used in a number of places. We did create a longer version because there was still more that they wanted to include. And there are times when the longer version works. If someone asks for your company bio, then the long version can be used in those places. It could be used on the About Us section of a business page, Facebook page or LinkedIn page. It's probably too long to go on a brochure. And again, I think this is too long to put at the bottom of a press release. But if someone said, can we get more information? Maybe you would send it that way. This could be used on About Us on a website, but it's too long to throw in an email to someone. So if you create your short and long version of your boilerplate, you can use those as your guideposts to fit either things that have more room for you to expand or you have to make it even smaller. And we're going to look at a few examples of that. So press releases, I'm sorry. Now this is where I'm bouncing around again. All right, so here's a press release, and I can send you templates if anyone needs help that has never written a press release. There is a certain format. There are variations to it, but in general, you're going to put who the company contact is, and then if the media contact is someone different, like in this case I am, then you put them so that the journalist or the editor that receives this knows who to contact. They may want to talk to the company contact, not the media contact. So you want someone in your company to be prepared to get a phone call or an email that they're the right person to talk to. I like to put two lines on my titles. Usually, I don't know why I didn't do it here. Usually the second one is I put it in italics. So you want to figure out what's the main title that's going to catch an editor's attention enough that they will read it and then decide to publish it for you. And it's going to depend on the publication, and we can go, publicity and press releases is a whole class on its own. But here again, you're figuring out what are the keywords and who is it that's going to be reading this. These keywords might not matter on Facebook. They might not matter on your website, but to an editor, you're hoping you've been succinct enough to grab their attention. And then you start out with the place and the date, you write your press release, and here at the bottom is that boilerplate. It was already written up, we'd already decided, we just plop it on there. Writing your boilerplate about yourselves is the hardest and most time consuming thing you can do. So the sooner you write it up and keep it, you can now write content for all of the kinds of things, and you stop reinventing how you describe your business. It makes it much easier once you've created that to just put out press releases or any other kind of marketing work. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is a postcard. Because we have the boilerplate and we have the messaging document, the boilerplate, the long boilerplate, and now we needed to create a postcard. Can you see this? Big blue square? Good. So even this has a lot of words on it still, but it's going to an audience that that would be typically interested in this kind of service. And so the bullet points are actually very key and unique aspects of what this business can offer. And so to the right audience, those things are, at a quick glance, those things will stick out to someone who's in commercial property, commercial real estate. But again, so we have their name at the top, and your real estate brokerage firm for selling, buying, managing, and investing in commercial properties. That's a tagline. And that tagline came out of everything else. You recognize it by now. It's long, but it was necessary because their name, and in some cases, they just abbreviate REAG. Their name alone doesn't explain what they do. So taglines are very helpful when you have a name that doesn't really say enough about what you do. And so we have the bullet points that we got. Those are key messages. And then we have another line at the bottom, what they specialize in. And hopefully all of that is something that they can grasp quickly. And then the back is a little more personal. But you'll see how the wording relates to some of the other things that we've written. And now I have another thing to show you. Okay. So now we're looking at social media. How do we take all of that stuff about this business and create a Facebook page post? So we get a graphic, and I didn't have time to like find two different pictures, but you get the gist, that maybe this is a before and after side-by-side picture, and another REAG renovation. So that is part of what they do, is they renovate depressed properties. And so the key message here might be that they do many things, but if we're honing in on how they renovate distressed properties, then this kind of does it in a nice, quick and clear way. And you can see there's really no long full sentences. The last one is kind of, but you have very few characters that you can use. And if I worked on it longer, I might have been able to make this even more succinct. But it's the picture and the title that's going to catch their eye quickly and portray a specific message. And hopefully go deeper, click on it and find out more. So the postcard example, I just wanted to say, is similar to the exercise you'd go through for your brochure or your flyer. If you want someone to grasp what you're all about quickly. People's attention are short and they're not going to read a lot of things. If they want to, they go to your website. That's where you can have all your content. You can have all of your blogs. You can publish a book. There's lots of ways for people to learn more, but for you to just get their initial attention, it's all about finding those few words that are going to help them. Website, social media. There's that. Oh, this is Aetna's mission. And I just thought it was great. I mean, it's what, 3 sentences. It's a huge company. We know everything they do, but here's a great example of their mission. And there are no extra words here. So I just thought let's see what one of the big guys does for their mission statement. That's how short and succinct it should be. Travelers spells out what their core values are. This is another good part of your branding exercise, is to decide what your core values are and see if you can incorporate those into your mission statement and then into your key messaging. Some of your key messages can come off of this. Okay, I guess screen sharing has stopped. So do we see each other now? And now my screen. So I was hoping that maybe we'd have anyone had any writing that they could use help with. We also have probably a better writer than I am on our screen. So Karan, if you have anything you want to comment on what I said or another perspective, feel free.
Thanks, Jill. Hi, everybody. I know from my time at the Current, that's how I started my journalism career, and now I'm at the Harriet Beecher Stowe Center. But I would say this from the media perspective, Jill was very much on point with everything that she said. Succinct, to the point, have everything easy to read, and really keep in mind when pitching press releases and different postcards or whatever it may be to the public or to the media, you only have a quick moment. Nobody hardly reads whatever you're sending out, but it doesn't mean really slack on the grammar and punctuation and all those things. Be very careful with editing, and concise is always better. And if you're using a word, make sure it makes sense and has a purpose. All the jests and ends, and because all those filler words, just cut those out, get to the point, and always read it out loud. Would you stop and, you know, be attracted to that postcard, to that press release? Make sure, you know, you really are. You know, make sure it's succinct, but easy to follow and to understand for someone who's not familiar with your business or your product or whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And that is something I wanted to stress about the grammar and punctuation. I know that it's easy to write blogs to answer specific questions and get more content on your website and help with SEO, but that is the place where I find the most mistakes. And I just immediately say someone was sloppy. They just threw this together. Even if they're an expert. So take the extra time, get someone else to proofread what you've written. Because a lot of times if you wrote it, you think it's right. So you might need.
That's happened to me.
Yeah.
The article, go back, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, someone didn't catch this. And but yeah.
Yeah.
Nice help.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything they'd like help with? Or that they're proud of? Kelly, you guys probably have a great mission statement.
We do. And the reason why I'm actually on here, Mark Inc. of Manchester is a nonprofit here in Manchester, and we provide opportunities for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So our people served actually started their own company, Bending for Change. And I used to be the community liaison and just recently changed positions, and I'm now the bending facilitator. So I had to step back from Southwind, you know, being part of the members and everything else. So I'm really excited for this. So thank you very much for this seminar, because it's a new company, even though Mark has been doing bending for the longest time, but we just recently started this company, then COVID hit, and I'm now in this role. So we really need to get out this branding. We just started with this Bending for Change LLC name, and I wanted to run a tagline by you guys. And it was just suggested just yesterday at another meeting, and I want to say it was your change will make change, because it's a bending for change, like it's a bending machine. So I think that was it. I have to look now, and I'm so very sorry I'm not prepared, because I was running around and my day kind of got hijacked. But anyways, so this is the reason why I'm excited, because I'm going to be writing and doing all this marketing. I have to create a marketing plan and everything else under the sun for this new company for our people served.
And you know, you do have you have some of the correct verbiage already from Mark. you do your elevator speech, your 30-second commercial beautifully. And so you have,
That wasn't it at all.
well, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. So, and you're lucky though, because you can steal some of the wording and you've created a product or a service that still falls under Mark. So,
Yes.
so that
Thank
you,
goodness.
I would suggest that, somehow you complement, not compliment, but complement in your branding with Mark, so that there's just strength in that, easily recognizing something. So the tagline sounds cute. Your change, and I'm wondering, is that a tagline or more of like a specific marketing campaign? It could be a tagline, and then you create other messages off of that.
Okay.
Tell me more about vending for change. Are these vending machines and they make
Yes.
money on them? Okay, they're not change machines. You put $1 and you get quarters back.
Nope, it's food and snack. Food,
Okay,
snack, and then we partnered up with Coke. So we do soda as well, like Gatorade and Coke products. So
what do you guys think about the tagline?
Your change creates change.
Your change creates change. Is that, Kelly, what was it?
I think I apologize. I gotta find my notes. It was so quickly and I've been just running. I haven't been able to.
Don't even worry about it. And actually part of the exercise should be you with your counterparts doing a brain dump and take those words, and maybe you already did this, write them as many different ways as you can.
Yeah.
So making change, your change makes change, your change creates change. I can't think of anything else at the moment. I'm better when I'm all by myself thinking for writing, but
Well, and then I also put everybody on the spot too. So
Yeah, no.
and I'm like trying to. I'm usually so much more organized, but
That's a good point, Jill. The brain dump. The brain dump.
sorry.
I was gonna say Jill was right. The brain dump is a good point. Sometimes I think we could limit ourselves trying to make it perfect. Just we write it out. Just write out a whole bunch of things. You can always, edit. It's not out to the world yet, so it's okay.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks.
Teach yourself
Thanks.
up.
And the other thing you can do is, because sometimes you get hung up on a specific angle, think of a brand new angle and do a brain dump on that, and then see if there's anything that links together. It's a fine-tuning process. It's another type of editing. But I think I think it sounds fine to me. It sounds good. I think it's kind of a cute play on words, and which people like clever. So that's good. And I do think if I thought more about it, you could probably create different campaigns off of that play on words. So yeah, so that's good. And you don't have a a mission statement yet for it, or
I don't know
boilerplate?
if we're using, I'll be honest, I just started this position in March and I've been just trying to do cleanup and everything else. And then I ended up having to do the site at Buckland because our machines are at Buckland, just to let you know. So please support us. And so unfortunately, like we're not there with a whole, like, I don't know if we're using Mark's mission statement, if we're using, because it's part of it, I know their tagline. I appreciate good marketing and having like good, just having a good visual, a good logo, good, and branding a good tagline too can be really powerful. So I just really appreciate that. And I really am, I just haven't gotten there yet, but I really want to, because I haven't been really promoting it or going out to chamber events, just because I'm a little held back because I don't have all my ducks in a row. I don't even have business cards, like just not there yet. And feel
Well,
like I'm just.
there's a few of us on the call right now that would be happy to help you if you need us. So just let us know.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm
You got
always,
at least 3 marketing businesses here that could help you, but
Thanks.
yeah, it's overwhelming, but you're right. The sooner you have the messaging and the branding figured out, now you can go out in public easily and feel confident in what you're
yes.
saying. The other thing that messaging is important for is if there's more than one of you out there talking, when you have a core message document and key messages, it helps you all sound similar. Of course, you can use your own words, but what's the message? And you'll find in some companies, one person pushing one specific message and another pushing another one, and they sound unrelated, and they probably are. They probably didn't get themselves organized, and that's part of your branding. You know, what is it you're trying to say? That's part of your branding. So
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to review? Liliana, did you want to say something?
But it was really, really helpful, Jill, believe me, because like being English, not my first language, for me, it's like a double effort when I have to work in my own brand or even in my client's brand. So, and actually it's nice to hear, because with all these changes right now that people ask for this inclusive language and these they them pronouns or things, sometimes it's hard to think about like, okay, is that correct, like grammatically correct? Because it's not that you don't want to be inclusive with people, but when it comes to a business, I think it's very important to keep that good grammar, right? And not just, but it's a little bit hard right now having so many like commercials like in the TV or in the press or in the social media, mostly all these places where they are changing all these words grammatically. So I don't know if that is something that is correct or is something that they are just using, or how is the best way to approach. That's something that I always ask myself and has been challenging lately.
Yeah, well, there's 2 things. One is it okay not to follow grammar and punctuation? Only if it enhances your message, and only if it works in social media, where you cut out words and all that. Now, the second thing you're talking about is, it's funny, Liliana, because I feel like when English is a second language for certain people, they've learned it and their grammar is better than the rest of us. So I've heard your grammar. Your grammar is not bad. I know every now and then it's slightly different, but I mean, I do like listening to you. I'm fascinated by languages, and I do think that there are some languages that have the whole personal pronouns so much clearer that it's easy to step into English, maybe more than for people who are born hearing it incorrect.
Yeah, and you know the thing is like, okay, when I went to school, I get like all my grammar classes and everything. So the good part is that I learned English when I was a kid, so I learned the rules, but it's hard when you are not practicing like every day and everything. But what I mean more is like in Spanish, for example, we don't have this thing that you have now in English that, for example, the LGBTQ community is using with the them, they pronouns.
Okay, yeah.
Because those pronouns didn't exist in Spanish. So basically they will have to invent something. But now in English, I see a lot, mostly in social media, that more and more people are using these like generic pronouns. But for me, it pop up because grammatically, I think it's not correct. You know, it's not something about being not inclusive with people, because I think that is perfectly, you have to be in the area that we are now. But I don't know if grammatically that is something that is correct. You know, it's like for a business, I'm talking more like in a business part. Like if I am going to put a post about a business, should I get that new language that was created, or should I stay on what grammatically is correct.
Yeah, one of the one thing you mentioned, Liliana, is in Spanish, yeah, everything has a gender to it. So whereas for us, you, there's no gender there. And
Exactly.
and so and it it is not a gender either. So I think in English, I know to say they, even if you're talking about one person, it eliminates the gender, but there are other words that are being invented, and you know, I don't know anything about what's correct, and I think it does depend on where you're writing too. But now Quran writes for newspapers, or did. So you probably had that same issue of how do you use the pronouns if, or how did you guys, like, what were the rules at the current?
For pronouns, so say, I did have an instance when I was speaking with someone. I did a story. It was, I believe, a person who was, I believe, transitioning or had recently switched pronouns. I think it was a student in high school. At one moment it was she, in a follow-up story, it became the pronoun was they. And so that's something you really have to be cognizant of. And if you just were to read the sentence, you know, oh, you know, just to have a quote, they said, it'll always be they or that person's name. We have to really just be really aware where we normally put she or he, they, to be respectful as possible. Now, grammatically, it wouldn't make sense, you know, if you put it in Grammarly or in Microsoft Word and press F7, you have all of those squiggly lines telling you it's wrong. And so it really takes a lot of effort. And that's, again, for those the extra pair of eyes and reading it out loud. It may not always make sense because it's not grammatically correct, but within the inclusive world that we live in, it's something, you know, it's new, you know, it's something that had to be created and put into style books because that was the case even maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. So it just takes a lot of time and practice, you know, I would say. And I believe every languages will start including those, but it just takes time. You know, English, we're there. Other languages, it may take a little more time because I remember learning in Spanish in high school. I remember everything had a gender, and so you know, that's not something I thought about with the inclusivity part of it. So it's but if you're writing in Spanish for marketing or on social media, you have to say something, but you don't want to disrespect anyone. So it can be challenging.
Right, and so I don't think that's as much that for Liliana, that things are, that you're not following the right grammar rules. It's that the right grammar rules haven't been invented yet.
Yeah, you know what? Actually,
pronoun usage rules.
The question came because I was working. I have like an appointment with a client last week, and he made me that question. He said like he is gay, and normally he says when I am chatting in things that are like more in part of like the LGBT community, I am used to use those pronouns, but I don't know if I have to use those for my business, talking business wise, right? So he asked that to me, and I was like, I'm not sure. I really don't know. And I tried to make some research in marketing, for example, like in marketing language, and there's nothing really about it. Like there's nothing to tell you like if in marketing messages, if right now business are like merging to be more generic or go more into that non-pronoun grammar, or even business, he is still, and we are still working in that part. I said to him like, no, let me make some research and see what is better. But I think that if your business is like open for everybody, maybe we can just keep the message in the traditional grammar if we don't need to be. And then if we are sharing in social media or something in places where we see that that type of language is used, we can just switch. But it was like a question that I have on my mind. Like I said, like, I don't know if there's something that people is using right now for that type of language new. As you say, I don't think the perfect grammar was created yet. So maybe it's in progress.
That you're right. That's right. Looks like Kelly found her tagline. Your change supports change. Right?
Yep, that was the tagline.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. That's good. It's a play on words, and the word support, I think, has more emotional impact than makes.
Good.
So yeah, that's great.
Thanks.
We've gone over time. Thank you, everyone. I was hoping this would be a little interactive. I don't know if anything I had, if anybody would find any of it useful or examples of some of the stuff I spoke about. I'm happy to follow up. I mean, I can send you the PowerPoint. It's not really, you know, a lot of it was just to keep me on track with what I was saying, but if
I like it.
yeah, if you say, oh, I'd love an example of a core message document, I'll dig one up and show it to you. So just email me and let me know, or let Amy know.
Yeah, actually, it was really, really interesting, Jill. And in my case, it's more like, as I always tell, that English is not my first language. So knowing about this was really, really helpful.
Great.
Thank you very much.
I tutored English as a second language students, so that's what we used
Ah,
to
that's
call it
nice.
in college. Yeah, so I love language.
Maybe we can remind everyone, Amy, also about the coming, again, like the coming sessions, what we are going to see, and let everybody know that we will be sending the PowerPoint and the videos, so if they can go over it, that will be great also if they need. Yeah.
Yes, please. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
See you next
Thank
time.
you. See you next time.
Bye.